You know, I was visiting my Aunt Martha last week. She just turned 93, and as we sat in her kitchen, I couldn't help but notice something surprising. While the rest of us were worrying about diets and supplements, she was calmly eating her bowl of lentils and vegetables, smiling like she had life all figured out. And when I asked her secret, she said, "Oh, honey, I just don't eat what everyone else is eating these days." Turns out, she was onto something. After studying communities where people regularly live past 90, places called blue zones, scientists found that these vibrant seniors all share something in common. They avoid certain foods that age the body faster. And today, I want to share with you 4 specific foods that people who live past 90 avoid, plus exactly what they eat instead to stay healthy and full of life. Now, these aren't extreme restrictions or fad diets. They're simple, practical swaps that can make a huge difference in how you feel and how long you live. So let's start with the first food that might surprise you. Food number 1, processed meats, the silent aging accelerator. If there's one thing you'll rarely find in the kitchens of 90-year-olds, it's processed meats. Things like bacon, sausages, deli meats, and hot dogs. And here's why. These meats are loaded with nitrates, excess salt, and preservatives that cause inflammation in the body. The same inflammation linked to heart disease, memory problems, and even joint pain. Now, does this mean you can never enjoy a ham sandwich again? Of course not. But if you want to age well, here's what centenarians eat instead. Fresh, lean proteins like grilled chicken, turkey, or fish, especially salmon, which is packed with omega-3s for brain health. Plant-based proteins like lentils, beans, and chickpeas, staples in blue zones where people live the longest. Homemade roasted meats without the additives, if you really crave that savory flavor. Aunt Martha's trick: she makes a big pot of hearty bean soup every Sunday. It's filling, delicious, and keeps her energized all week. Food number 2, sugary sodas and juices, the hidden danger. Here's something shocking. Drinking just 1 sugary soda a day can age your cells faster, according to research. That's because the flood of sugar causes spikes in insulin, damages blood vessels, and even affects memory over time. And fruit juices, sadly, many are just as bad, stripped of fiber and loaded with concentrated sugar. But don't worry, people who live past 90 still enjoy delicious drinks. Here's what they reach for instead: herbal teas, ginger, chamomile, or green tea, full of antioxidants. Infused water with lemon, cucumber, or berries for natural flavor. Homemade veggie juices like carrot or beet juice with a little apple for sweetness. My 94-year-old neighbor, Frank, swears by his morning ritual: warm water with lemon and a dash of turmeric. He says it keeps his joints moving and his mind sharp, and science backs him up. Now, these first 2 swaps are already powerful for longevity, but there are 2 more foods that might surprise you. Foods that most people eat every day without realizing how they're speeding up aging. You know, I was talking with my friend George the other day. He's 91 and still tends his own vegetable garden, and he told me something that really stuck with me. He said, "Most folks don't realize they're digging their graves with their teeth." Now that might sound harsh, but after studying what centenarians around the world eat, or more importantly, what they don't eat, I've come to understand exactly what he meant. Let's continue with food 3 that people who live past 90 avoid like the plague. Food 3. White bread and refined grains, the blood sugar saboteurs. Here's something most people don't realize. That daily toast or bowl of white rice could be aging you faster than you think. The problem isn't the grain itself, but what happens when they strip away all the good stuff. Refined grains like white bread, white rice, and regular pasta have been stripped of their fiber and nutrients, leaving basically just starch that turns to sugar in your body almost immediately. Now here's why this matters so much as we age. These foods cause blood sugar spikes that lead to inflammation, the root cause of nearly every age-related disease. They provide empty calories without the nutrients seniors need most. Studies show people who eat mostly refined grains have higher risks for diabetes and heart disease. But don't worry, you don't have to give up bread or pasta completely. Centenarians in blue zones still enjoy their grains. They just choose 100% whole grain bread with at least 3g fiber per slice, brown or wild rice instead of white, whole grain pasta, or better yet, pasta alternatives like zucchini, noodles, or lentil pasta, ancient grains like quinoa, farro, and barley that are packed with protein and fiber. My friend Elena in Sardinia, she's 102, makes the most delicious barley soup with vegetables from her garden. She says the fiber keeps her digestion regular and her energy steady all day long. Food number 4. Industrial seed oils, the inflammatory culprits. This one might surprise you the most because these oils are in practically every packaged food at the supermarket. Vegetable oil, soybean oil, corn oil, canola oil. The problem? They're extremely high in omega-6 fatty acids, which cause inflammation when we don't balance them with enough omega-3s. And chronic inflammation is like pouring gasoline on the fire of aging. What's truly eye-opening is that in all 5 blue zones where people live the longest, these industrial oils simply aren't part of their traditional diets. Instead, they cook with extra virgin olive oil, the real stuff, which reduces inflammation, coconut oil for high heat cooking, avocado oil, which has a high smoke point, butter or ghee from grass-fed cows in moderation. Here's a simple tip from a 97-year-old Greek woman I met. If your grandmother wouldn't recognize it as food, don't put it in your body. That's kept her healthy for nearly a century. Now, we've covered 4 major foods that accelerate aging: processed meats, sugary drinks, refined grains, and industrial oils. But here's what's fascinating. Avoiding these is only half the equation. The other half is knowing what to eat instead. The foods that actually help repair your cells and slow down aging. You know, when I visited Okinawa last year and met 103-year-old Setsuko, I asked her what she ate every day that kept her so vibrant. She chuckled and said, "The same things my mother taught me to eat when I was a little girl." And that's the beautiful simplicity of it all. Living to 90 or 100 isn't about fancy supplements or expensive superfoods. It's about returning to the basics, to the wholesome foods our grandparents ate. Now that we've covered what to avoid, let's talk about the delicious, nourishing foods that can help add years to your life and life to your years. The power of plant-based proteins. One of the most striking patterns among long-lived communities is how little meat they actually eat. But here's what's fascinating. They're not missing out on protein at all. Instead, they get it from lentils and beans, especially black beans, chickpeas, and cannellini beans. Tofu and tempeh, prepared in traditional ways. Nuts and seeds, walnuts, almonds, and flax seeds in particular. My friend Giovanni in Sardinia eats minestrone soup made with at least 7 different beans and vegetables nearly every day. At 98, he still tends his olive trees and walks 5 miles daily. The fiber in these plant proteins feeds the good gut bacteria that are crucial for immune health as we age. Colorful vegetables, nature's medicine. If there's one thing all centenarians have in common, it's that their plates are bursting with color. And no, I'm not talking about food dyes. These vibrant pigments are actually powerful antioxidants. Dark leafy greens, kale, spinach, Swiss chard. Bright orange vegetables, sweet potatoes, carrots, squash. Cruciferous vegetables, broccoli, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts. A 101-year-old woman in Nicoya, Costa Rica, told me her secret. I eat something green every single day, usually with a squeeze of lime. The vitamin K in greens helps keep arteries flexible, while the lime boosts iron absorption. A perfect example of traditional wisdom that science now confirms. Healthy fats for brain and heart. Contrary to the low-fat craze of the 90s, the longest-lived populations eat plenty of good fats. Extra virgin olive oil, the real stuff, drizzled on everything. Avocados, nuts and seeds, fatty fish like sardines and salmon. What's remarkable is how they use these fats. Not deep-fried or processed, but in their natural state. A study of Greek centenarians found that those who consumed at least 4 tablespoons of olive oil daily had significantly better cognitive function than their peers. Fermented foods, the gut health connection. This might surprise you, but nearly all longevity diets include some form of fermented food. Yogurt and kefir, especially from goat or sheep's milk. Sauerkraut and kimchi, miso and tamari sourdough bread, the real fermented kind. A 96-year-old man in Ikaria told me he credits his daily bowl of homemade yogurt with keeping his digestion perfect for decades. We now know these foods contain probiotics that reduce inflammation and may even help prevent cognitive decline. Putting it all together, now you might be thinking, this sounds complicated. But here's the beautiful truth. It's actually simpler than you imagine. Most centenarians eat some variation of the same meal every day. A hearty bean or lentil dish, plenty of vegetables, often from their own gardens, whole grains, good fats like olive oil, maybe a little fish or dairy, no counting calories, no complicated recipes, just real, wholesome food prepared simply. Your next steps. I want you to try something this week. Pick just one of these longevity foods. Maybe it's adding beans to your soup or swapping your cooking oil to olive oil. Start small. Make it enjoyable. Because the secret isn't in any single superfood. It's in the daily habits, the small choices that add up over years. I'd love to hear in the comments, which of these foods are you already eating? Which ones do you want to try? Your experiences might inspire someone else watching. If you found this helpful, do me a favor, hit that like button and consider subscribing if you haven't already. We put out new videos every week to help you live your best life after 60. Remember, every meal is a chance to nourish your future self. Here's to your health and happiness. May your years be long and full of joy.